Hello Summoners and welcome back to another ProGuides upcoming changes video. My name is Nathan Ng, also known as Nate the Great, self-proclaimed, not very great at anything, and I'll be going over all the upcoming changes that are hitting the Rift on patch 9.24b. This is going to be the last patch of Season 9, so there are going to be a lot of changes. Do keep in mind that nothing is set in stone and changes can't be made before 9.24b hits the servers. We'll make sure to keep you updated with all the confirmed changes in our 9.24b patch rundown next week, so click the sub button if you want to see that. There will be a lot of upcoming changes to your favorite champions like Aphelios, Garen, Shaco, Alistar, Ezreal, and many others, so please stay tuned. Plus, today's question of the day is, which of the 3 most recent champions are your favorite? I'm talking about Aphelios, Senna, and the brand new champion Set. I personally love Aphelios, and I just love feeding in style. But I'm also excited about Set, so let us know your answers in the comments below. And before you get started, I want you to click the link below and check out our website ProGuides.com. ProGuides is the best proven way to improve at League of Legends, and we post guide videos like this every single day. We've been doing a lot more advanced content recently, and I'm sure that you won't regret signing up. Also guys, we have an effective coaching feature that lets you play and get coached by a pro. Trust me guys, you don't want to miss out on this because your friends will be absolutely stunned at how much better you've got at League of Legends. Now, with that being said, let's jump right into the video. Alright, to start things off, we have 13 new skins that are hitting the Rift very soon. First up, we have Dragon Slayer Diana and Dragon Slayer Olaf. Next up, we have Dragon Slayer Trundle and this amazing looking Fredlord Sylas skin. Then we have a Guardian of the Sands skin line which features Janna, Rengar, and Ryze. Pretty cool, right? And finally, we have the Mecha Kingdom skin line. This is by far my favorite, and I'm going to purchase every one of these skins. Firstly, we have Mecha Kingdom's Garen and the Prestige Edition Mecha Kingdom's Garen. Next up, we have the super badass Mecha Kingdom's Leona, and also another badass skin called Mecha Kingdom's Jax. And finally, we have Mecha Kingdom's Draven and Mecha Kingdom's Set. However, there is no splash art available for Draven just yet, but we'll keep you updated when that is released. Also, speaking of Set, the new champion will be available on January 14th. Keep in mind though, is that there is a secret hidden mission available right now to get a loot item called Set's Calling Card. In order to get this, you have to get First Blood in 10 PvP games. We're not exactly sure what this item does, but you can open it on January 14th, so I'm betting it's something good. All these skins that we just showed and the new champion Set won't be available until next patch. Instead, they'll be available on patch 10.1, which we've already covered in the previous video, so make sure to check them out as well. Also, one last thing before we get into the champion balance changes, all random NERFS is available on the PvE right now, which is hinting that it'll hit live servers very soon. Now, with all that being covered, let's go straight into the balance changes. First up, we have some item changes coming up next patch, starting with Serrated Dirk. For those of you who are unaware, Serrated Dirk had its passive removed at the start of the preseason, and this item has been awful ever since. In fact, it's usually better to buy 3 longswords than a Serrated Dirk because the item only gives you 25 AD and up to 10 lethality compared to 30 AD flat. For patch 9.24, Serrated Dirk will have all its damage increased by 5 to compensate for the removal of its passive. This is an awesome buff and it'll help those AD assassins by a very small amount. Also, we have a buff coming for Edge of Night. Edge of Night has been reworked at the start of preseason to have its shield work more like Banshee's Veil. However, it did appear that this item was far too weak due to the changes that most assassins have stopped building this item. For patch 9.24b, Edge of Night will have its AD increased from 50 to 55. This is a nice little change, and we can start seeing this item built more often. That's it for the item changes. Now, onto the dragon changes. Elemental Drakes have played a huge part of this preseason. However, adding these new powerful dragon effects have caused a lot of imbalance on the Rift. Firstly, some of the dragons were just way too powerful and forced your jungler to play around bot lane the majority of the game. For patch 9.24b, there will be a few adjustments made to dragons to buff the weaker ones and nerf the stronger ones. First up, we have the Ocean Dragon. Although Ocean Dragon was hotfixed by a ton last patch, it appears that it's still too strong and will receive another nerf. The missing HP healing that it grants will be lowered from 3 to 12% to 2.5 to 10%. This is another really big hit to the Ocean Drake, but it'll still do its job during the laning phase. Then the Ocean Soul will now also have to be nerfed to do much less healing and mana sustain. In addition to that, it'll also grant you the nerfed amount of resources over 4 seconds instead of 3, which makes the buff even less effective. This was a much needed nerf because it almost felt impossible to defeat a team with the Ocean Dragon Soul since they never die. Next up, we have some changes coming to the Infernal Dragon. For next patch, Infernal Drake will have its damage ratios lowered from 5 to 20% bonus to 4 to 16% bonus. Next up, the Infernal Soul will have its damage lowered by a decent amount. This again was a much needed nerf because it was way too powerful with poke champions. Pretty much all your abilities would hit like a truck, and you'd pretty much die in one shot if the enemy team has an Infernal, so combined with the Elder. Next up, we have the Mountain Dragon. Our analysts here at ProGuides believe that the Mountain Drakes are probably the strongest in the game right now and are in need of a gigantic nerf. For patch 9.24b, it looks like our prayers were heard, and the Mountain Dragon will have its armor and MR reduced from 8 through 20% to 6 through 24%. This again is a well-deserved nerf, which will also make Mountain a lot weaker but still strong in general. Then the Mountain Dragon's soul will also be nerfed by a huge amount to grant much less shielding. Much like the Ocean Dragon, having the Mountain Soul just made you unkillable, so thank God for these changes. Up next is the Cloud Dragon Soul. The Cloud Drake Soul will have its movement speed after ult buffed from 40% over 3 seconds to 50% over 6 seconds. This is a massive buff and is well deserved because that Dragon Soul is by far the weakest of the bunch. Lastly, for all the souls, we have some nerfs coming to the Elder Drake. Elder Drake is almost a guaranteed win at the moment, and it's being nerfed next patch, thank God. The duration of the buff will be lowered from 180 to 150, and the burn amount will also be reduced from 90 to 270 to 75 to 225. That's gonna be it for the dragon changes. Now onto the champion balance changes, starting with the top lane. Garen. Garen has received a ton of nerfs, but it appears that the balance team have over-nerfed him quite a bit. For patch 9.24b, Garen will receive a little bit of love, which sounds kind of nice, and have one of his nerfs reverted. His E-Judgment will have its damage increase from 0 through 6.6 to 0 through 8.2. This will increase his overall damage output in the top lane, while also keeping him in check with the speed nerfs from last patch. Gnar. Next up for the top lane, we have a few changes to Gnar. Gnar has been struggling in the meta for quite some time and has been long overdue for some buffs. For next patch, Gnar will have his Mega Gnar Form's Q damage increase from 120% to 140%. In addition to that, the Mega Gnar W will also have its damage buff from 25 through 105 to 25 through 145. These two buffs are great changes for Gnar, and it'll help him in his dueling and teamfighting by a lot. Since his Q is the most spammable ability in its kit, you can really start to feel that 20% damage increase. Alright, next up we have the jungle, starting off with Graves. Graves has been doing decently well in the meta, and it looks like he'll become ever so stronger in 9.24b. His E will have a cooldown lowered from 18 to 14 seconds to 16 to 12 seconds. Although 2 seconds doesn't seem like much, this is a massive buff for him, and he'll be so much better next patch. For those of you who are unaware, Graves' E cooldown gets reduced every time he autos, and his E also grants him a ton of armor. This also stacks with crit, so his auto attacks could lower his E cooldown by a lot. Having 2 less cooldown on this ability is going to feel amazing, and Graves will most likely be an upcoming power pick, so start practicing him now. Shaco. Next up in the jungle, we have changes coming for Shaco. Ever since his rework, Shaco has been doing so much better in the Rift than the majority of the jungle champions. For patch 9.24b, Shaco will have a nerf to his E damage while also have its scaling reduced from 80% bonus AD and 60% AP to 70% bonus AD and 55% AP. On top of that, the mana cost for this ability will be changed from 50 to 70 to 65 flat at all ranks. These two changes are going to be pretty noticeable when you play Shaco, but he'll still remain a decent pick for a solo queue. Now onto the mid lane. Heimerdinger. There's only one balance change that is going to be made for the mid lane champs, and it's for Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger will be receiving some well-deserved nerfs this patch. Firstly, his W will have its damage per rocket reduced from 60 to 180 to 50 to 170. Next up, his ultimate plus E damage will be lowered from 150 through 350 with a 75% AP ratio to 100 to 300 with a 60% AP ratio. Both of these nerfs are targeted to lower his damage output and make him less problematic in the bottom and top lane. Alright, now onto the AD carries. Aphelios. Aphelios recently hit the live servers, but it appears that he's a tad too overpowered right now, which is crazy because I keep feeding with him. I don't understand. His entire kit is super overloaded and numbers seem to be a bit too high. Next patch, Aphelios will be receiving a nerf to his caliber mark, which will have its ratio lowered by 10%. Next up is his other weapon, Infernum, will have its damage on additional targets from 40% to 25%, and the explosion radius has been changed from 500 to 400. Overall, these nerfs are pretty big for Aphelios, but he'll still remain a powerful pick in the bottom lane. Next up, we have a buff coming for Ezreal. Ever since the removal of Kleptomancy, Ezreal has been struggling in the meta. Although he did receive a hotfix buff recently, they were pretty much negated by those range conqueror nerfs. For patch 9.24b, Ezreal will have his Q's damage ratio increased by 10%. This is a massive buff, and I'm predicting that it'll be enough to bring him back into the meta. Since his Q is going to be the majority of Ezreal's damage, these buffs are going to be very, very impactful. And finally, let's move on to the supports. Alistar. We only have one change coming for supports this patch, and it's for Alistar. Alistar will receive 2 small buffs this patch, and the first one is a 0.13 increase on his AD per level. This is almost negligible because having a 0.13 extra AD per level will do absolutely nothing for him. Next up, his passive heal will be increased from 20 to 139 to 25 to 161. This healing buff is a great change for him because poke supports like Senna have just been abusing him in the bottom lane. That's going to be it for our upcoming changes video for patch 9.24b. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please hit that like, comment, and subscribe button to be notified for our next video. We'll be making sure to keep you guys updated as fast as we can whenever new League of Legends news drops. This includes anything about the new champion set, any balance changes, any new games from Riot Forge, or just general news, so stay alert for that. Also, as a final reminder, we have another upcoming changes video coming out next week, which will cover more of the balance changes. And also, make sure you check out ProGuides.com if you want to see huge improvements to your rank. Our coaches there can seriously help you improve your game before Season 10 starts and help you win all 10 of your placements, which is great because I honestly have no game. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the Rift.